Hello, everyone, and welcome to Flash English Academy. I'm Monica.
And I'm John. We're here to help you improve your English listening skills. In each episode, we provide practical tips and engaging conversations to help you better understand and use English. Today, we're talking about a very important topic for English learners: how to improve your English speaking skills. So, let's get started.
Speaking is one of the most challenging aspects of learning a new language, but also one of the most rewarding. John, what do you think is the most important first step for someone who wants to improve their English speaking skills?
I think the most important first step is to practice regularly. It might sound simple, but consistent practice is the key to improvement. Find opportunities to speak English as often as possible. This could be through language exchange partners, joining English speaking clubs, or even talking to yourself in English. The more you practice, the more comfortable you'll become. What about you, Monica? What do you recommend for someone just starting out?
I completely agree with you, John. Consistent practice is crucial. I'd also add that it's important to start with building a strong foundation of vocabulary and basic grammar. Without these, it's hard to communicate effectively. Beginners should focus on learning common phrases and everyday vocabulary. Flashcards and language apps can be very helpful for this. Once you have a basic vocabulary, try to use these words in simple sentences. How did you start building your speaking skills, John?
When I started learning English, I focused a lot on listening and repeating. I would listen to English podcasts, watch movies, and then mimic the way the speakers talked. This helped me get used to the sounds and rhythms of English. I also practiced with friends who were fluent in English, which was incredibly helpful. They would correct my mistakes and give me tips on how to sound more natural. Monica, have you found any particular methods or techniques that helped you with pronunciation?
Yes, listening and repeating is an excellent method. I also used to record myself speaking and then compare it to native speakers. This helped me identify areas where my pronunciation needed improvement. Additionally, focusing on individual sounds and practicing difficult words repeatedly made a big difference. For example, English has some sounds that don't exist in other languages, so it's important to pay extra attention to these. Tongue twisters can be a fun way to practice pronunciation too. Have you tried any specific exercises for improving intonation and stress patterns, John?
Absolutely. Intonation and stress patterns are so important. I used to practice by reading aloud, focusing on the rise and fall of my voice. I also listened to native speakers and tried to imitate their intonation. Songs and poetry can be particularly useful for this because they naturally incorporate rhythm and stress. Another effective technique is to shadow native speakers, which means listening to them and trying to speak simultaneously, matching their intonation and stress. What about you, Monica? How do you work on your intonation?
Shadowing is a fantastic technique. I've used it a lot myself. In addition, I pay attention to the intonation patterns in different types of sentences. For example, questions often have a rising intonation at the end, while statements usually have a falling intonation. Practicing these patterns can make your speech sound more natural. I also find it helpful to watch English TV shows or movies and repeat after the actors, paying close attention to how they emphasize certain words. John, how do you recommend building confidence when speaking?
Building confidence is key to improving your speaking skills. One tip is to start small. Practice speaking in front of a mirror or with a trusted friend before moving on to larger groups. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small. It's also important to remember that making mistakes is a natural part of learning. Instead of being afraid of them, see them as learning opportunities. Another tip is to prepare yourself before conversations by thinking about what you want to say. Over time, you'll become more comfortable speaking spontaneously. Monica, do you have any additional tips for gaining confidence?
I agree with everything you said, John. In addition, I'd suggest setting specific, achievable goals. For instance, decide to learn and use 5 new phrases each week. This gives you a sense of accomplishment and something concrete to focus on. Joining a language group or club can also be very helpful. It provides a supportive environment where everyone is working towards the same goal. Finally, practicing mindfulness or relaxation techniques can help reduce anxiety about speaking. The more relaxed you are, the more naturally your speech will flow. What interactive ways do you recommend for practicing speaking, John?
Interactive practice is so beneficial. One effective way is to engage in language exchange programs where you can converse with native speakers who want to learn your language. It's a win-win situation. Another great method is to participate in online discussion forums or groups dedicated to English learners. These platforms offer opportunities to practice writing and speaking. You can also use apps that connect you with language partners for real-time conversations. And don't forget about role-playing exercises, which can help simulate real-life situations and make you feel more prepared. How about you, Monica? What interactive methods do you recommend?
I highly recommend using language exchange apps. They are fantastic for finding conversation partners. Additionally, joining English speaking clubs or attending language meetups can provide great opportunities for practice. Participating in debates or discussions on topics you're passionate about can also be very motivating. Another method I find helpful is to create and present short speeches or presentations on various topics. This not only helps with speaking, but also with organizing your thoughts in English. Watching and imitating TED Talks or other public speaking events can be very inspirational too. John, do you have any final tips or encouragement for our listeners?
Absolutely. I want to remind everyone that improving your speaking skills takes time and persistence. Be patient with yourself and stay committed to regular practice. Celebrate your progress and don't be afraid to make mistakes. Each mistake is an opportunity to learn and grow. Surround yourself with supportive people who encourage your efforts. And most importantly, have fun with it. Learning a new language opens up so many doors and experiences. Monica, any final words from you?
I'd just like to echo John's sentiments. Be persistent and keep practicing. Remember that every bit of effort you put in brings you closer to your goal. Don't be discouraged by setbacks. They're just part of the learning process. Find ways to make learning enjoyable, whether through music, movies, or engaging conversations. And don't hesitate to reach out for help when you need it. There's a whole community of learners and teachers out there ready to support you. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Flash English Academy. We hope you found today's discussion helpful. Keep practicing and see you next time.
See you next time.